Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another action-packed episode of Movie Boarding. And I'm your host, Kingston Hannibal. Today, we got the Cowboys versus the Little Giants. That's right, folks. We're suiting up and hitting the gridiron with the ultimate Underdog classic. We'll be diving into sibling rivalries, talking trick plays, special appearances by NFL legends, and an all-out battle for football glory. Will the Oxbox and a ragtag team of misfits topple the Cowboys? Will the annexation of Puerto Rico deliver the win? Stay tuned as we break it all down right here on Moving Boarding. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I can't do that. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do that voice for that long. Just coming at you before the beginning of this podcast to make a few corrections, as I always try to do. And sit back and relax, folks, because this one has a lot of them. So there's some audio issues that you're going to hear a lot with my voice. I try to fix it as much as I can, but I can only do so much. I also have a regular job, so take that into consideration. Also, fun fact, this was actually the second attempt to record this episode. The first attempt got lost completely because my SD card decided to unformat itself. I'll include that first attempt, what I was able to salvage, at the end of the episode. So stick around if you want to listen to that one as well. At one point, I accidentally say Rick O'Neal when I actually meant Ed O'Neal. There's a scene in the movie where Becky and Junior are looking at a couple in a rowboat and they're talking about kissing. On the podcast, I mistakenly made it sound like Becky was talking with her uncle in that scene, but it was actually Becky and Junior having that conversation. Although Becky and her uncle do have a heartfelt conversation, but that was in the diner scene. The scandal from the Saints was called Bounty Gate from 2009 to 2012. Some of the bigger high school football stadiums in Texas have capacities around 12,000 to 18,000, but they also regularly play in the Alamo Dome, which has about 23,000 seats. Also, top high school football coaches in Texas can have salaries around 140 to 150K a year. And finally, Steve Emtman from the Indianapolis Colts is the name of the football player that we couldn't remember that had a cameo in this movie. Thank you guys for listening to this episode on the Little Giants. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Movie Boarding. We're recording this episode for the second time. Woo woo. Apparently, I found this out, Louis. To record on one of these, it's better to use a regular SD card than a micro SD card.
Gotcha.
Because a micro SD card is not for recording. It's just for like saving stuff or something like that. So that's why when we recorded the first time, it like deleted everything and it crapped out.
Ugh.
But then I decided to like put in the backup. So we kind of got a little bit of what we recorded. So it's a little different. Okay. But we're going to try to do the whole thing again.
Yeah, we got this.
We got this. As you can tell, that's my friend, Louis. And he's our guest for this particular episode of the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for doing this again, Louis. He is the official New Yorker Colombian of the podcast. Represent. Now, when the first time we tried to do this was when the Cowboys played the Giants on a Thursday. And unfortunately, the Giants lost.
Yeah.
Now, we're doing this again. And we just finished watching game 3 of was it ALDS?
Yes.
Or ALCS.
Yeah.
And the Mets lost.
And it was a miserable loss.
So maybe next time when we record another one, Louis, we do it on a day where none of your teams play.
That's true.
So we're good. Now, it's pretty funny that on both of those times we were watching sports because the movie we're going to watch today is a sports movie. Mm-hmm. So we're going to watch the, dare I say, classic. It's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Little Giants. Now, again, we did see it already. We were talking about the first time we saw this that for my family, specifically, I would say I would say everybody. Everybody in my sports are a way of bonding for us, especially with me and my dad and then my sister. And it's kind of cool because Little Giants is a football movie. And it's interesting that in our family, we have Cowboy fan, me. I think my brother-in-law is still a Cowboy fan, and I think my sister might be Cowboy/Rams. My dad's he left the Cowboys. He jumped ship, and I don't blame him because as we were talking about your pops and Jerry Jones are the same age.
That's right.
And we were like, bro, like what's going on here?
Yeah, he should
Put the
just.
mic up.
He should just hang it up.
Yeah, dude, he should have it up logged. And then my mom's a 49ers fan. So it's
Interesting.
always fun to watch football and have those different aspects. Now, in your family, are sports important?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's what unites the family. You
Yeah.
know, we they have that common goal. We've watched the Mets lose for the past 30 something years.
I've watched the Cowboys lose for the past 30 something years. Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough loss. It's tough love, I would call it.
Yeah.
I know. So, you know, we're loyal, faithful fans. And
Yeah.
I think that was such a golden moment in my childhood. You know, something I look back and say, you know, watching the first World Series.
Yeah.
You know, and that the Mets win that World Series against the Boston Red Sox. I was a
The
little
Sox,
kid.
they beat the Sox.
They beat the Red Sox, and that was awesome. So I thought I was gonna be spoiled.
You thought a dynasty was.
Oh,
That's good, huh?
definitely, and sure enough, and it wasn't that way.
And then after baseball,
Mhm.
you would be what, a Knicks fan?
Yeah, it would be basketball and football as well too.
The
We-
Giants would be
yeah.
football.
We definitely root for our hometown.
Yeah.
And since we have a couple hometown
You got a
teams,
bunch. You got a ton of teams to choose from.
yeah, we would go for the one that we would not the one that was winning, but usually the ones that were
Like the closest to you, relatively.
the ones that were closest, like Queens,
Yeah.
with the City Field, what used to be Shea
Right.
Stadium. And Giants, well, they play with the Jets. Yeah, and then Madison Square Garden
It's
is
just
20 minutes away from
the
us.
Knicks, and then the
The Nets with
Nets.
Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey. Then also to the Rangers and the
Islanders.
Were
Yeah,
you guys
we didn't. My father, my older sister is more. They're more of a hockey fan. I wish I would have, but
they're fun. They're fun to go to.
yes, exciting.
And you find yourself like, yeah, punch each other, and you're like, wait, hold on, I shouldn't be rooting for violence.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's people skating and
Yeah.
But as far as the sport that brought the whole family together is the Mets, and right now we're going through a tough time with my father and everything. He's the one that got us into baseball.
Yeah.
And all the kids are still we're worried about my dad, but we're also we're staying up to date with the games and stuff.
Yeah, like if that's a bonding thing for your
It's something that brings light, a little sunlight
yeah.
to the the occasion. So
I really do agree with that. It really does. So you were talking earlier that you are one of 6.
right.
So were you guys competitive as kids?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Yeah, we were even joking about it the other day. It's been fun. When you're young and you're just trying to. We didn't have much growing up,
Yeah.
but we for some reason we like to win, and it's one of those things where you play without you obviously know you're not getting nothing out of it.
Yeah.
But just the bragging
rights.
rights, that's exactly it. That's it, and with the family, we were just always like, my siblings, even my sister got her into, competitive sports and stuff. So it was fun. I definitely look back and I cherish those memories, playing stickball outside.
Yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah, you actually saw people play stickball.
Yeah, I was playing there. I was playing in the middle of the street, and
It's something you'll see in movies.
yeah, and people would be like, "You guys do that?" Yeah, that was our childhood. We didn't have a park. We just played. We, in the middle of the street, and there was cars flying by. Sometimes you just had to dodge them.
Car.
You would hear that, yeah. You'd jump off and then go back. It was one of those things that we would play, but we wouldn't play just to have fun. We play to win.
Yeah.
Jokingly say
play to
that.
win.
It wasn't, winning isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Like there was a movie of Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last.
You last, there you go.
You know what's funny? Like
Yeah.
I grew up with it was only me and my sister, and she's 4 years apart, and she wasn't really into like playing sports. She's like into watching sports. She's really into that. But I didn't know how competitive she was until we got older. Like she started playing, obviously without the gambling, but like poker and blackjack and like
No.
spades and stuff. And like I saw her play, and she was like really competitive. I was like, dude, like what's going on? And the funny, like I'm not competitive like at all. I wouldn't say that I love playing, but I'm the type of person that we go play some pickup ball or whatever, and people are all like, "All right, it's 5-6," and I'm like, "I don't. I just keep playing until we
Yeah.
get tired." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, don't keep
exactly.
scoring. Like, and I'll play. You'll play defense and you'll play hard on offense, but it's like like, oh, we got a game point. Let's foul him. I'm like,
All
bro,
right.
like I don't like. Come on, man.
It was funny. We'd question the scores
Yeah.
every time. It's like, what do you mean 5-7?
So I have heard, and if feel free if you don't feel like talking about this, but I've heard stories of brothers from Bethel and how competitive they were like in playing sports. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
had that
Oh,
experience.
definitely, definitely. The hardest fouls are
That's what they were telling
those
me.
religious boys.
Like game point, if they knew you had game point,
Oh, hack it.
hack a whoever.
Yeah, the same thing they did to Shaq. Anyone that had the ball, it was more like rugby,
It's funny, and I heard that they played hockey there too.
field hockey. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. They
That's very New York, very lacrosse field
very,
hockey.
but it wasn't as popular as the football and basketball.
Oh, football, basketball.
That was more. And then they had a couple
Soccer.
brothers play soccer. Yeah, there would be a Cadman Plaza, open field there.
I one time I tried to play soccer and I just like I
Yeah,
didn't like it. Like I like watching it. I like watching more than anything. I like watching the national play or World Cup like once every 4 years. I go for
yeah.
I go for France. That's the team that I like.
You're French, right?
Yes, very
Right.
French. Yeah, Martinez is
But
very French name.
excuse me.
Apparently, Martinez comes from France, like Martin, the Martin part.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
But who know? I'm Mexican for
yeah.
I'm a Mexican from South Texas, bro. I can't get more Chicano, and then lived in LA. I can't get more Chicano than that.
Yeah, you got it.
So we're gonna watch this movie called Little Giants, like we mentioned. Just a quick summary of it. So it stars Rick Moranis,
Great actor.
great actor, retired, but hopefully he makes a comeback. So let's see, what movies was he in? Little House of Horrors, Little Shop of
Little
Horrors,
Shop of Horrors, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
and
Ghostbusters,
Ghostbusters,
which
oh,
I've never seen.
Yeah, it was a classic.
It was a classic.
But
I hear
I saw
like
it in the theaters.
yeah. Oh,
That was
back in the day.
I was
My Blue Heaven, I think, is another one that he was in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a
The-
good one. That
yeah.
was a good one.
And then he plays Danny O'Shea, and basically he's him and his brother Kevin O'Shea, which is played by Ed O'Neill from Modern Family, Married with Children, and stuff like that. So Kevin O'Shea, the older brother, is a former football star, Heisman Trophy winner, national championship, like state, and he's come back, or he's starting a Pee Wee football team in his town of Urbana, Ohio, which I feel should have been like in Texas or something like.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go to Texas and watch a high school football game, bro,
I would love to
crazy.
do that. Yeah.
crazy.
Friday night,
You know,
light.
I went to San Antonio not too long ago, and I was going to take Jose with me. It just didn't end up happening, but I was legit going to take him to a high school football game. And the stadium we were going to go to is the stadium that was for my school district. It's right by my school, and I think it fits like 40,000 people, dude, for a high school football. And if I'm not mistaken, some of like the better ones, the coaches get paid like 6 or 7 figures
No
a year.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't hear that growing up. Not in the city,
Well,
not no.
New York is more like basketball, right?
Yeah, and
Baseball.
we didn't have the stadiums. We didn't have the property. You would have to go
Upstate.
yeah, or Connecticut.
Yeah, that's right. You
Long
really don't
Island.
hear that much football
No.
players from New York. You hear basketball,
Oh, yeah.
baseball.
Definitely.
I mean, football. You got those brisket fed boys that like worked on farms. Like I'm a big dude. Like, but I remember like seeing those like kids that were like 16, 17, 18, and just seeing them, I'm like, that's not a normal 16-year-old. I'm
Country,
talking about like country fed, like cornbread fed, like dudes,
big old dudes.
big old dudes at 6'7", 6'8", and like
Yeah.
350.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure some of them went like like pro. I mean, probably not like to the highest level, but they went pro.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I guess in the city would be, you know, would be more baseball, basketball. It was sports where you could play, like, you would see those milk crates
Yeah.
up on trees, and wherever you could put up a little hoop, stick ball, you could play that anywhere. But as far as football, it's harder to get a bunch of guys. There was back then I went to Andrew Jackson High School,
Okay.
and they did have a stadium. That was a nice stadium, but nothing like 40,000.
Well, it was probably like 1,000, if
At
that.
the most. It's 2,000.
Yeah, dude.
2000.
40,000 people.
No. And then there was a neighboring school, so they had
Yeah.
the little competitive teams, and but it wasn't like the way Texas, Oklahoma, man,
Florida,
Arkansas,
California, even California.
even South.
Um,
Cali.
so
But,
yeah, we got a little sidetracked, but so the premise is revolves around the Coach O'Shea Kevin
right.
starting his Pee Wee football team, the Cowboys, and basically he cuts like the scrubs from the
Right.
team, and then those scrubs start their own football team, the Little Giants, with the help of the brother Danny O'Shea, who knows nothing about football.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was, what I was talking to one of my buddies about a couple of days ago about the underdogs.
Yeah.
You root for them. We'd always root for them. We'd
Yeah.
always root for, and growing up in New York, I wasn't a big guy. I was always small, lanky, skinny, and it was always hard to play against bigger guys. It was always tough. So you'd go always for the less advantage. I guess that's why we stuck with the Mets and teams that
Yeah.
that didn't have all that popularity like the Yankees and big old teams that but that's what this movie's about.
Yeah, that's what this movie's about. And so one of the things is also too, and it's I think it's pretty cool for a 90s movie that one of the players that gets cut who's not a scrub is actually a girl.
Yeah.
And she's like one of the best players, but just because she's a girl, and it's like girls shouldn't play football. But I'm like, at that age, you should probably put the girls on the team because they're bigger than most of the boys.
Yeah.
They're like 10-year-olds old and stuff. So talking about underdogs, do you have any like good underdog movies, like sport movies that you like, or just sport movies in general?
I did like Rudy. A lot of people are like,
My brother-in-law loves Rudy, and I've never seen it. And I'm just like, ugh.
oh, you gotta watch it.
It's
I was the same way. I was the same way when I heard about it, and I've seen it maybe 10 years ago. It's an old movie, and I said, "What the heck?" He just started watching it, and it was pretty.
The only thing I know about, I mean, other than the story, the only thing that comes to mind when I think of Rudy, and I think I mentioned it when I did the podcast with my brother-in-law Jonathan, is there's a Simpsons episode where they're going to the Super Bowl, and then they're all on the bus, and you can hear like somebody like banging on the bus, and he's like, "Hey guys, wait for me," and it's like Rudy, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's that darn kid Rudy." They're like, "Keep going, keep going, keep going."
Well, yeah, a buddy of mine, his name's Rudy. We'd always, he had a hard time with that. It was, we weren't too nice with that. Yeah, that was a classic, and there was another one. I think it's called. Oh, this was a good one. I think it was Underdog, American Underdog, but it's with Kurt Warner.
Oh, the Kurt Warner. I haven't seen that one. My dad said it's really good.
That was nice. Surprisingly, it wasn't good acting, but it's a good story.
That's a great. He's a 100% an underdog story.
Yeah, he was bagging groceries.
2 Super Bowls, won one of them.
Oh, he was an awesome quarterback.
Oh man,
tough.
we live in Nashville, and he beat
yeah,
he beat Nashville. He
the
beat
Titans in the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's a good story.
I remember watching that Super Bowl, and I remember I was at my dad's cousin's house.
One
And I was going for the Titans because my best friend in high school, his favorite team because of Steve McNair was the Titans. So the Titans have kind of always been my sleeper second team.
Yeah.
And now that I live here, they're But I remember watching that Super Bowl and being like, bro, like, and the thing was, it was funny because my friend was a huge basketball, and he kind of started getting into football around then. And then his first like Super Bowl is like his team loses, crushing,
and the way they lost by 1 yard,
dude.
that was that.
And not only that, but the way they got into the Super Bowl with the Music City Miracle. What was it called?
Oh yeah,
The Music City Miracle, I think, with the lateral pass, beating the Bills. They got into the Super Bowl, and you were like, "Oh, these guys."
They got to go all the
And the
way.
Rams were 100% the underdog in that.
Absolutely, because everybody was expecting the.
Yeah, the Titans to win.
But yeah, that's a tough loss. That was one. Whew, that was a hard one to swallow. Until this day, that's been what, 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, what are your predictions for the next? Let's see. What are your predictions for the LA Dodgers v Mets, and what are your predictions for the Thanksgiving game, the
Yeah.
Cowboys and Giants? This episode should release a day or two before that.
Yes, Thanksgiving, because they're gonna be playing.
You're playing at Texas Stadium.
Well, I feel like at this but at this rate, since the Cowboys had a
Like we were
horrible,
saying, that game will not matter for anything for both teams. Maybe for lottery position.
yeah, I think we're both pretty much out of it. I don't think there's coming back. The division NFC East is not like.
I mean, right now it's the. I think the not the Skins. The Commanders are in
first, yeah, it's weird. And then
I
the Eagles,
Eagles and the
who
Boys,
are-
I think, might be tied or something like that. And then
Giants, of course, would have 2 wins. But we're being hopeful. But man, that Daniel Jones, we just got to get rid of him. Man. Too much money was invested in him. That was just.
I've seen videos of like fans just like he's walking out of the stadium and fans are just roasting him.
Oh, horrible. So I think once we get rid of him and we go a different route, it might be a better chance. But possibly, I'm still rooting for them to try to make it at least to the playoffs. That's always rewarding. Like the Mets made it.
Yeah,
The Mets made it, and Dodgers are tough team. They're looking good. They definitely got their bats going. The last 2 wins, but man, it's hard to root again. They're doing what a lot of teams haven't done, where they're not expected to win, and they're coming the last innings. So that's what we're that's what I was expecting, 7, 8, 9 innings. But I'm gonna be there watching tomorrow, but ain't betting no money. That's
I'll
for
be
sure.
all right. I'm a Yankees fan, so pretty much they're gonna get in.
The Yankees are looking good 2-0, but
Who knows if they can beat the Dodgers though?
Yeah.
The Dodgers. I mean, they looked really solid today.
Yeah.
And they were saying like Ohtani was in a slump, and then right when they said that, he hit a three bomb shot.
Oh my God! What is it? The highest home run
Yeah.
of the playoffs?
Like it was so high that
ripped
it
it.
might have gone foul, but it was so high that they couldn't even tell.
They couldn't even tell.
So they're just
That's
like, "Yeah, home run."
crazy. It's like kicking a field goal above the post.
So high that they were like, yeah, it's good, I guess.
We can't say otherwise. Yeah. And it looked like what was he? What were we saying about Top Golf?
Oh, like he was just hitting the top golf, just like
Smacking it. He was hitting
smacking it,
a golf ball. So massive, that dude. Well, they paid the big bucks, and
yeah.
that's the reward they get.
All right, so let's get into the movie a little bit. So, like we said, the cast is Rick Moranis, Ed O'Neill, and something very interesting about Ed O'Neill is that he used to be a football player.
Oh yeah,
He was he was on the line, not the Lions. What team was he on? The Steelers. He was on the Steelers, and when you see the movie, like he just looks like a football coach, like 100%. And I was watching this video on the Rich Eisen show, and he was talking about when the reason he stopped because he got cut. He got cut, and so he said he got cut from the Steelers. He went to a bar in town right there in Pittsburgh, and on the TV they're like, "Oh, star Edward O'Neill, got cut." And he said that the bar people were like, "Hey, isn't that you?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's me." And he said like he would drink there the whole day for free.
That's awesome. Good old Al Bundy.
Yeah, Al Bundy. So like I think he was really good as a football coach, and Rick Moranis is just always so try. I'm honestly like a huge fan of Rick Moranis.
Yeah, you love his face. You love everything.
Yeah,
he stands
and
for,
his I mentioned this on the podcast before, and I think people thought I was joking, but he has like a comedy album called My Mother's Brisket and Other Love Songs.
Really?
Yeah, something like
it out.
It's so funny. Like it's quirky. It's super quirky. I really like this movie, and even though it's a kids movie, I still enjoy it as an adult. I really, really do. And when we saw it the first time, what was his name? Edwin? the brother, the
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah.
he was like, "Oh, dude, I saw this
He
movie all
loved
the
this.
time," and I think even Sarah said like she'd seen it like a
Yeah.
bunch.
Everybody but
But you.
me.
So, what'd you think about the movie?
Oh, I loved it. It was great. It's a feel good movie. You know, you get I like the way the way they did the whole storyline. You know, the whole with that what was the name of the actor, the kid that was the superstar
Oh, Spike.
Spike.
Yeah, Spike.
Yeah.
10-year-old? I don't think so. That man looked like he was 25. And it's so funny how they like when they introduce him, right? They try to make him seem like he's otherworldly, and he's like carrying a fridge on his back.
And I love his dad, man.
His dad is super intense.
Korean actor.
And then so I looked this up because I was like,
Yes.
so he says like he's trying to tell him like the dad. He's like, oh, how intense and how like intense his training regimen is. And the last thing he says, I don't know if you remember, he says, every night I massage his hamstrings with evaporated milk. And you're supposed to be like, oh, no way. And I looked it up and I was like, no, this like doesn't do anything. It's just like for like,
For kicks. Just
for
to
kicks.
kick about it. There's a lot of parents like that. There's a lot of crazy parents that are like really into kid sports, and some of these kids are not athletic. They're not kids that are gonna make it far, but these parents are banking. And it's kind of cruel.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty intense. It's funny. I always joke with my dad. You'd look at people that parents were like that, famous people, and some of them were really bad, like Joe Jackson,
Oh yeah,
Serena, and what's the name?
Williams, the Williams, girls.
the guy Richard Williams, and Quintanilla, Selena. What's the name? Abe Quintanilla.
Hey, right.
And I was like, hey, Dad, why didn't you? I mean, I know they were
Push me.
they were terrible parents for I guess for all intents and purposes. But why didn't you like push me and Brenda like that? And then I don't know if he said it or me and Brenda said it, but we were like, oh yeah, we don't have talent. So we, at least they had talent in something.
Something, yeah, something to work with.
Yeah, something to work with. It's like miracle worker. So it's interesting. This movie was actually produced by Emblem, which is Steven Spielberg's production.
Oh,
So he had a hand in it. And this concept came inspired by a McDonald's commercial, and where some NFL stars play with kids, which Spielberg was the one that saw it and caught his attention. So he tried to develop this movie into a feature film. And this kind of also happened in the same thing when we were watching The Sandlot with Jose, that the inciting incident or the game basically is like only the last 20-30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
You don't really notice that. You're entertained the entire way.
The storyline,
The storyline,
getting there.
Yeah, like, them getting cut. This is my opinion on that. I think everybody should play to a certain point. Like once they get into high school or middle school, that's when you start weeding them out. When they're kids and stuff like that,
Let them have fun.
let them have fun. I don't know if you feel that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some people see like sports. I'm a big fan of young kids playing, but it's not for everyone. There's some gifted kids out there, 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
But not everybody in these little sports, And that looks bad when these parents get so into it.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing you hear about what's going on with The Blind Side. With
Yeah.
now the kids, the what Michael Orr's
The
suing
adoptive
his
parents,
and they got ugly because we're doing it for the right reasons, but you could see right through them.
They were just, it's funny because when the movie came out, there was a lot of things that he was like, yeah, they didn't happen that way. Or like, I played football before it seems like they taught him how to play football.
Right.
I played football before.
And that he wasn't a bright player, and that they pretty much molded him to be.
He was a pretty smart kid. He's a smart adult too. So they made him seem like a simpleton.
The little kid was the one teaching him the strategy.
Yeah. So and then like I said, like in my experience, when I saw like I did want to play football, but when I saw those kids that were like faster and quicker than me, I'm the type of person that's I'm like, oh yeah, that's not for me. Like that's like I'll stick to, I don't know, cooking or whatever. I mean, legitimately stick to cooking.
Well, like with me, I guess I like that competitive edge. Scoring, it felt so good scoring on a big guy, whether it's basketball, catching a ball above somebody.
Yeah.
Twice my size.
It feels awesome.
Oh, it's so rewarding. It's so fun. I mean, that's like such an adrenaline. So I think with this movie with the kids, you could feel it. You go back down that memory lane. Like I remember doing this, I remember doing that. Yeah, I wasn't like the most athletic kid. I was pretty fast. I was very mobile, good hands. Um, and I enjoyed running up and down courts. Football, basketball, baseball, and it was something that the time went by fast. You would always be out there late at night, and your mom's calling you and get inside. It's getting late, but you would have so much fun. You wouldn't even, you wouldn't even skip a beat.
So one of the main players in this, and like we said, she gets cut because she's a woman, is Icebox, Becky the Icebox. And she's legitimately the best player on both of the teams.
She was ahead of her time. This movie's ahead of her time.
Movie's ahead of time, and I really enjoyed that strong female role in it. Like, it sounds weird, like two dudes talking about that, but it really was like something that I don't know if they did that consciously, or if it was just like, kind of girls playing sports kind of thing, and they.
No, I mean, like, look, right now with Caitlin Clark or the other girl, Reese.
I've never been more into women's basketball.
Yeah, just recently. And it's just fun to watch these girls play. I mean, soccer, women's soccer has come such a long way. So exciting.
Women's tennis,
all these sports, and I always say, man, you cannot knock the gender. You gotta let them
play
their game. And if they're shooting and they're making their baskets, it's fun. It's still fun to watch.
Now, the physicality might be a little different, but I feel that if you have a female basketball player and you play her with guys, eventually she'll become used to the physicality.
Oh yeah, a lot of these girls are real tough.
Oof.
Man.
Now in basketball, I mean, there was Becky Hammond, who was the first basketball coach in the NBA, who was a female. And I think there's like multiple now. And now in the NFL, I'm sure like within the next year or so, there's going to be a head coach that's a woman in a men's league.
There's nothing wrong with that.
If you can coach, you can coach.
Exactly.
And we were hoping as Spurs fans, and I speak for my family, that it's Becky Hammond who coaches the Spurs when Pop is because that's where she started. And if you know anything about Pop, he's very progressive. Like for an older guy, he's very progressive. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed also too that even though Danny, the nerd, didn't really know too much about.
I don't know if you could say that, but
a nerd. He's a nerd. He didn't know too much about football, but he still supported his kid. Like, do you think it's important to support to a certain degree?
I mean, if they're having fun and they're getting into it, you don't have to burst their bubble and be mean to them. But obviously, don't want to invest no big bucks on them going on leagues and stuff. But some of these kids, a lot of these NBA stars, they made it, even though they said they weren't gonna ever, that's not a realistic goal going to the NBA, and they would make it. Never great stories. But you got to give everyone an opportunity. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, so they do start their own team, and I do like that montage that they get this like ragtag team of like scruffy players, and most of them are like interested in something else, But then they do find Junior, which is like one of the quarterbacks, a good quarterbacks, and then they fight Spike as well. But the reason they find Spike is because they think that he's his brother,
O'Neill's
Kevin O'Shea, and he says like, I'm Coach O'Shea, and he's not technically lying.
Yes.
But when he gets to it's obvious that it's not it's not him. But what's funny, it reminded me of Spygate. So there's a scene where Ed O'Neill and then his like assistant coach, Buds, they're spying on the little giants.
Oh yeah.
And then legitimately that little geek, that little like computer nerd, like sees them, and I was like, oh, that's 100% what Brady did, you cheater. I'm calling you out, Brady. Calling you out.
Brady. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be listening to this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm gonna send it to him and to
and the Astros, Altuve and
and who else?
These teams that would try to get the advantage.
Oh, Deflategate too.
That's another
Brady thing. I did like Ed O'Neill's gum chewing acting. He was chewing gum the entire time. And I this, I can't stand like mouth sounds, like chewing gum. Like I can't. When I go to New York with you guys, I'm gonna have to put on headphones. I wear the earmuffs that I wear at work.
That's
And if
funny.
I'm driving, be like,
I think you
nobody
did
chew
tell me
gum.
that. You did tell me that. It really, that probably was
No,
just
it's fine.
like,
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell people not to do it. But if I'm driving the car, I'm gonna be like, guys, please, please
it's
don't.
distracting.
No,
It's gonna,
it's like a visceral thing where I'm like it makes me like rage inside, like to hear just like if we're eating, if we're everybody's eating,
right.
perfectly fine. Like I don't, we're eating. That's dumb. Like for me to be like,
But if someone's munching on some chips,
no, no, that's fine. That's fine too. But if I just hear like mouth sounds, like chewing, oh, Louis, I swear,
no, I know.
chewing gum is a big thing.
If you're going against me with the Giants, Cowboys,
Yeah.
that's funny. Well, okay, all right, that's good to know.
No, but that was funny that he was like chewing gum the entire
The
time. And I think
whole
even Sarah walked by one time and she said like, "Oh, look at him chew gum." You know what's fun, interesting, talking about Becky, that she was actually one of the only ones that actually did any like football training. Like and you can kind of see that it shows. And I don't think they used for her. They didn't really use a stunt double. And you could really see that, right? Like in the movie that she was like not only supposed to be depicted as the best player, but probably the best player.
Yeah,
And she was bigger than most of the dude. I think she was probably the same size as Spike and a Junior.
Yeah. Yeah, she was only like, and I think in movies she was only like 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like with this actress, she's go on and play other movies?
I
or
think
not?
that was one of her only roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the other kids did, I think. Junior, I know, did. And then the little kid, the little nerd kid, I think might have also too. Like most movies, they were filmed in LA. Like this was filmed in, not in LA, but more of like the San Bernardino area or the Inland Empire. But it was made to look like this fictional city, Urbania, Ohio. And it 100% looked like the Midwest.
Yeah.
It felt like the Midwest. Although the scene where they're trying to race to Spike's house, you can clearly see like the San Gabriel Mountains in the background.
I'll get it. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. I really enjoy this movie. And then like I said, like they have a lot of montages, the training. It's really interesting. And one of the things that I really kind of focused on was that it seemed to me like Rick Moranis was doing this for Becky and for all the little kids. You know, he was himself the kid that get put on the sidelines because of his brother and stuff like that. But he seemed to really want to do it for them. And then it kind of seemed like he wanted to do it to spite his brother. I don't know if you got that sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because his brother was the one that always won everything. His brother was always the one that,
Yeah.
they expected him to win, and he was like, you know what, let's do something for a change. That last scene, with him running out,
Yeah.
it's good. You're rooting for that, even though you probably know the outcome.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see that the little guy coming through.
And, they eventually do get to the game. But before that, Becky and her uncle, Ed O'Neill, do have a heart-to-heart moment. And it's really interesting to see that she has this crush on Junior, like the cool, the cute kid or whatever. And it's funny. We'll talk about that a little bit, but the scene where they're first of all, that's weird that they're watching people in a rowboat kissing. He says something like, it's like, oh, like, I don't know if I ever want to learn how to kiss or whatever. And then she's like, well, what if you ever want to get a job or something? And I was like, is that what I thought when I was a 10-year-old, that you needed to learn to kiss to get a job?
That's true.
If that's true, then I should be a CEO. No, I'm joking. But they do have a heart-to-heart moment at the cafe. And I thought it was really sweet that she's like, well, I'm not good at liking boys or talking to boys. I'm good at, sports.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, of course you're O'Shea. And he's like, you and I are this, we're very alike. And you do see that they're both very hard-headed. They're both very stubborn, set in their ways. But then after I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. I also thought like, well, that's kind of also messed up because he was the one that convinced her not to play and to be a cheerleader because he knew that without them, without her, they stood no chance whatsoever. So I don't know if you got that sense from that he was trying to
in the diner when they were talking,
to manipulate her a little bit,
trying to get her to think, oh, it's ladylike to go, be the cheerleader, and the guy might like you, and
And he even
Yeah.
says like he doesn't want a friend. He wants a
Mhm.
he doesn't want a teammate or something like that. He wants a
And there was that other little girl that was interested in him.
yeah, her cousin.
He goes in there, and she, yeah, they. It was funny how they were trying to make it into like, try to get her to be a cheerleader,
Yeah.
and yeah, she did. She
She
did
eventually
good.
chose a cheerleader, and that's when. But you see, that was the interesting thing too. That after all the work that they had done, and his brother and her dad, like learned football, and like he was even like, oh, I got found new plays, and like I'm learning the system. When she said like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, he was like, I thought this was what you wanted. He's like, no, that's what you wanted, Dad.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and then he was like, but even then, he would like still supported her, like even for her decision. He was like, yeah, if this is what you want to do, then be a cheerleader. And I thought that was really sweet. That like
You got to support your
you
kids,
got to
man.
support your kids
And yeah, there's so many people out there trying to live out their dream through their kids.
vicariously. Yeah,
Vicariously. And it's sad because the kid's probably like, I was thinking about that because that's like LeBron James with his son.
right.
Yeah, he keeps saying. And then did you hear that his kid got a heart attack? Like
Yeah, I think he has like a
Heart
arrhythmia,
issue.
heart of the arrhythmia, or something like that.
So scary. It's like you're pushing your kid to be, you got these.
And he's not that good. Honestly, he's not that good
No,
to be in the NBA.
He's not gonna cut
But the
it.
thing is, though, like for me, and talking about that, sports was the one thing that was pure in the sense of like 100% merit based, 100% skill based, right? Like you get a job somewhere, you get acting, you get, there's a lot of singers that I'm like, why are you even like, well, because you know the right people, or because your family, actors, the same thing. But sports was the one thing that's like skill based, like
Exactly.
But now it's like, well, him, and then also too, the other one that I can think of is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like his brothers are on the team because of him, and his brothers are terrible.
Oh, they know what they were doing. They were
wouldn't be.
signing
They
that.
probably wouldn't even be in the D League, bro.
Oh, not even. But these owners are so invested in Giannis. They don't
And
want to lose him,
They don't want to same with LeBron.
and you keep his kids, and then
It becomes like that's weird that you're like a nepo baby in sports.
Yeah, that's why I don't really care for that. Because your dad was a great athlete, you're gonna become an athlete. You're gonna be just as good. I mean, yeah, there are some great like Ken Griffey Jr. That was great, but the son became better than the dad. There's a lot of dad stories where
Yeah.
the athletes that were great, but that doesn't mean necessarily that the kid's gonna be. You get a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And these kids, and then these parents, and everybody else will be disappointed
Yeah.
with these kids because it's kind of like a flop. And it's not the kid's fault. And the kids are like supposed to. Bronny, everyone's expecting him to do
Yeah.
like big deals.
Same with although he is actually really good, Deion Sanders' kid.
Yeah, and even then, I don't even like him, to be honest. I don't
He's
like
not that good. He's good.
yeah.
But I don't know if he would be that good
And-
if he started on a
And his cockiness is like he's trying to be cocky.
try to be his dad.
His dad was such a great
I
athlete.
mean, his dad was cocky because he could back it up.
Oh my goodness, he was not just. I mean, and then some. I mean, he was beyond athletic. He was a once in a generation type player. Baseball, football, and anytime the football was easy.
Yeah.
It was easy to him. And then now his kid is athletic. And yeah, his kid is a great athlete, but I think he's trying to be like his dad.
hmm
And he wants that swag. He's trying to force it, which is not cool.
Yeah. I do get that. Right now, you were talking about how easy it is for Dion, like football was. It reminded me, and it's one of those things that I'm like, oh man, like that is insane to think about. That Kobe was the one that said this. Like Kobe, he didn't really start being that Kobe, the Mamba mentality, until like when Shaq left, and he started,
And
although
his dad was an athlete,
Yeah.
Jelly Bean.
and he had merit because he was, yeah, I would say top 3 player of all time, even though the Lakers caused me a lot of pain in the early 2000s. But Kobe was saying, like, if you think about someone like Shaq never really practiced. Shaq never really watched tape or anything like that. That's what he
Mm.
said. I'm paraphrasing, and he's like, imagine if Shaq would go to the gym, practice, work on his like all this stuff.
And not just depend on his natural abilities.
He's like, that guy would be like
beast.
the beast. He would probably be better than Jordan. He's like, I'm grateful that Shaq wasn't that person. But even then, he's top 10 player of all time. Like dominate. He was 100% like a person that would dominate the game.
He was in the class by himself. Growing up watching him, I had the privilege, to see Shaq.
I saw him live a couple times,
Oh,
and I
wow.
think that was one of the few.
Never got to see him live.
That I think the game that I saw him was the one playoff game I saw the Spurs lose.
Ooh.
Yeah, when they got swept by the Lakers in the playoffs.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That was a tough one.
it was. I still remember. Yeah, but that guy was amazing.
To lose against him, obviously.
It's like, what can you do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay.
He took up half the
Imagine you standing next to
baseline.
David Robinson, the Admiral, this guy who's cut, swole 7'1", and you're
Sure.
like, if Shaq stands in front of him, you can't see Admiral.
Yeah. He towers over.
It's just like insane.
Like he
Running
was
down the
so
court.
width, his arm span, everything. And his power. The thing is, remember when he used to dunk,
Force.
just running down he broke the net. We were
Yeah,
playing against the Nets.
yeah.
He ripped the whole thing, collapsed Phoenix. He did the same thing. He did it a bunch of times where he was just such a powerful.
Yeah, and eventually we get to the game. And speaking of freak athletes, I think Spike was on HGH or something.
Yeah, that kid was funny, man.
He was so intense. One of the funny scenes in the movie, and I think one of the funniest jokes, is when the team, the little scrubs, which by the way they have great nicknames. They have the Gas Man,
Yeah.
the kid who was always farted with, Hot Hands, Rad Tad. What was it? Noob was one of them. And then the Icebox. But the scene when they're in the locker room and they find out that Becky is a cheerleader,
Oh yeah.
and then like their face just like drops.
We're not gonna win this.
We're not gonna win this. And so then to tear them up, Danny, he's like, "Hey, I got you guys jerseys," and then one of the kids is like, "Death Shrouds." And then
Yeah,
he turns him
I love
around.
that.
He turns him around, and he's like, "It's got your name on it." And one of the kids says, "So the guys at the morgue could identify the bodies."
I like
He's like, "That's it. I'm moving out of the country. I'm going to New Mexico." So then they get to the game, and it's really fun. The game is really fun and interesting, and you could see like that they basically the first half they get destroyed. At the end of the first half, Danny gives that really good, which I think is a really good speech.
Yeah.
He was saying that when they were kids, he beat his brother in a racing game on bikes down Cherry Hill, I think it is. And the kids are like, "Well, who cares? You beat him one time." And he's like, "Well, yeah, that's all it took, one time." It's like, even if I lost 99 out of 100, I beat my brother one time. And then they all start going down like, he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I did this with my brother and I beat him one time." And that kind of, I think it was a really touching speech and motivating to like the kids. Like, well, yeah, like, why do you play? Do you play because you want to be the best, or you play because you want to play? You want to have fun. You want to pretend you're, Joe Montana or Emmett Smith or Bruce Smith.
Yeah,
Like
they came out on
the cameos that they had with also to the late great John Madden, and who else was there? Antonio Brown, I think. No, not
No. This he was a Ram.
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Tim
there you
Brown.
go.
That's right. And then the guy from the Colts. I don't know his name.
That's right.
Which it's funny because Emmett Smith, he was like, "I wasn't always the biggest. I wasn't always the fastest, but I felt like a giant." And I was like, whoa, bro.
And I was
You were
like,
a
"See,
cowboy.
you wanted to be a
You
giant."
were no. It's like,
He
how dare
wish he was a
he
giant.
felt like a cardinal because he played like a year or two with them at the end.
That was a good line. I looked over to you.
Yeah, right. You remember that, right? And then the other one was football is what, 80% mental and 40% physical. And then they're like, "Oh yeah," and then one of the kids is like, "Wait, what?"
What?
And I think he even says it in the game. And then the kid's like, "What are you talking about?"
He kept repeating it.
And then you see that they get inspired by that and they're coming back and they're ready to play. And I think they score or something like that. And then I thought that was a really interesting moment. And you kind of see the true person that Kevin is, his brother, that Spike's dad, who's an intense man, tells Spike, he's like, "I want you to take out Junior. I want you to to basically another scandal."
Dirty hit.
What is
yeah.
the scandal with the Saints?
Yeah.
The
It
Hitgate
was
or something like that.
wasn't it
Hitgate or something like that.
Headhunters?
Yeah, it basically like you get money if you take a player out. There's a name for the scandal. There was the Flakegate, there was Spygate, there was like Hitgate or like Assassin Gate or something. I don't know. So we'll look it up. But and he takes him out, but he hits him in the kidney.
And then I guess Ed O'Neill didn't like that.
So that's what you see the true person that he actually was.
His character right there. That's dirty. We
He
don't
said
do
like, no,
that.
we don't play that. We don't play like that.
And
He's like, oh, I thought you wanted to win.
he's like, but not this way.
Mm-mm.
It was a lesson for everyone. You don't
Mhm.
just win. We all want to win, but we don't want to win.
We don't want to cheat. We want to play fair.
Exactly.
We don't want to hurt it. They're kids.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like a kid
Brady,
getting a concussion?
Did Brady see this movie?
I don't think Brady saw this movie. I don't think this was I think he saw up to the part where they were spying on the football players.
That's
And then
right.
he
It
didn't
was,
see after that
and then
tuck
he-
rule.
yeah.
Man, that man's a cheater. Tuck rule, although that wasn't really him, but they
Yeah.
pulled for him.
they gave it to him.
They gave it to him.
And
I
this-
remember watching that game.
against the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Yeah, that was
The
cool.
one time the Raiders had a chance to go to it was for the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
To go to the Super Bowl. Oh my
that
God.
was that was a big game. And this movie came out when what year was it?
94.
94.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys, the Niners, the Giants.
Cowboys. They had Cowboys, Niners. Who else?
Giants had one.
The Packers were doing well, and the Broncos were about to start doing well with Elway in those Super Bowls. Man, those were some good Super Bowls. The one Super Bowl I missed, one of two actually. One I missed. It was the Steelers and the Seahawks because I was working. It was like my very first job, and then they wouldn't give me the day off. But ever since then, I made it a point. And then the other one was the first Patriots Giants Super Bowl when they were huge. Speaking of underdogs, huge underdogs, went into the Super Bowl 9-7 or something, or barely 500.
Oh,
then went out.
They weren't expecting.
And then
to go far.
that wasn't the one, but the other time that they beat them, what was it, 18-1?
Oh,
18-1, baby.
18-1.
The first one, I think it was the Tyreek catch where he caught it on his head or something like that.
Mhm. Eli Manning.
I had food poisoning. I was so sick, and I was like basically hallucinating because of I was so dehydrated.
And you're like, did he just make that catch?
I didn't see the game at all. I was in my bedroom, and my family was having a Super Bowl party, and I came out, and I was like, the Patriots, because they had won like 3 Super Bowls by that point.
Everybody expected them to win.
And then my dad was like, dude, they won. The Giants won, and I was like, what? It's like the Giants?
One of the happiest moments of my life.
So speaking of the Giants winning,
Little Giants won too.
the Little Giants won. So after that hit, what's that phrase? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yes.
She goes, Icebox comes back in the
Truest
game
words.
and just like
She came through.
she came through and they score. And it was interesting that towards the end, like they start scoring. I think from the beginning, everybody's rooting for the Little Giants. They're rooting for the underdogs. Even Ed O'Neill's wife is rooting for them.
That's right.
She's like, yeah. And then you see that Danny is actually a pretty good coach because he's like, the play that they're going to run, the Cowboys, the play that they're going to run to win the game. Actually, no, it's not even him. It's his girlfriend, eventual girlfriend, that tells him, hey, do you remember the last play of the championship game that your brother won with? Do you remember the play? And he's like, oh, snap, that's what they're going to run. So he calls a timeout, and 100% it's what it was. And so they were able to stop the ball. And then as for me, for millennials, I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, the annexation of Puerto Rico, other than like politically, but like in terms of football.
Can't say I have.
Okay, so that is the famous play that was in the
Oh, right. That's
the
what they
movie.
call it, yeah.
So you'll hear it like people say it like in football and stuff like that, the annexation of Puerto Rico, and that's the last play that they won. So basically, it's a fumble. They purposely fumble the ball to hide it, and then they run it. And then they win the game and stuff like that.
I gotta look into that. Yeah, it went over my head.
And I've heard it many times on like commentators that are like my age, like say like, oh, they should run like the annexation of Puerto Rico and stuff like that.
And I gotta look into why. What happened?
Yeah, that's the truth. Like, I don't know why it's called that.
In Puerto Rico, because I don't know. What purchased
I don't know. I think it was just probably one of those like,
now you're gonna be thinking. I'm looking into that.
Yeah, like probably one of the Philly special or like a flea flicker or a Hail Mary and stuff like that. Something, which is funny because actually John Madden is the one that helps him with it.
Yes,
because he's like, we want to run this play, but we don't have an H back or something. Like they didn't have a fullback because they lost. Spike was their H back.
That's right. That's right.
They left, which was another thing I thought was kind of weird. So in the movie, and I know they probably did it because they didn't have enough people, but you see the offense and the defense play. I mean, the players that play offense also play defense and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, I was like, you could have had all those kids on the team and just split the
That's true. But that's how we used to play street
Yeah.
football. Our football, we'd run up, we'd run down. Obviously, you know, everybody stays on the court, 5-on-5 or 8-on-8, 6-on-6. You go back, play the defense, go ahead and catch the ball on offense. But yeah, you're right. They could have easily had the offensive kids,
Yeah.
or you know, play one position and.
But also too, like, you're risking your quarterback because the quarterback was playing defense as well on both sides. And then when Junior goes out, Becky's the quarterback, and then she's playing defense as well. And even so, again, like Danny says, like, hey, like, we could just join up instead of me, you know, our team being the one team. And that
happened at the end.
That's the whole reason they played the game, is because the city can only have one team, so they, you know, which one we're playing. But he's like, we can just combine the teams together. Like,
exactly. We've done it from the beginning.
We could have done that from the beginning. And it shows, like, well, if you have good enough players, I think this is my philosophy, like, players that are just amazing, like Jordan, right? LeBron. I would put Tim Duncan in that category, that you take okay players, but they elevated them.
Yeah.
Like Paxton, Steve Kerr for Jordan, Scottie Pippen. He would have been a great player, but I don't think he would have been to the, you know, Kobe with all the players that, you know, Lamar Odom became a pretty decent player.
Popular guy,
you know, and then Manu and
Ron Artest.
Ron Artest, you know, right? I mean, they're great players, but I think, so what I'm saying is, even though those players that were kind of not that great, but if you had other good players around them, I think they would have elevated them. And you could have just had a complete team.
Completely, that's right.
But I guess, you know, there would be a story to the movie if that didn't happen. By the way, the announcer for the game is Harry Shearer, which is the one of the voices of the Simpsons.
No
He
kidding.
does oh gosh, a bunch of them. Flanders, Smithers, Burns. I think he did Superintendent Chalmers, Principal Skinner.
Skinner.
He did, oh god, what's it? Dr. Hibbert.
The teacher.
Yeah. Skinner. Now, this, like we said, this was a kid's movie. But I remember the first time we recorded these, you said that you, like, now as an adult, you really enjoy kids' movies.
More so than when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. I wasn't into it. I wasn't into, you know, I would see that and be like, that's for kids.
Yeah.
It was always, you know, you can't be watching those little kids movies. You know, you grew up in the tough part of Queens, and you didn't want to be associated with those.
Jamaica Queens represent.
And we'd always be like, nah, now that I'm older, I'm looking back and say, man, I missed out on some good ones.
So you've seen The Sandlot?
Yes, I did see The Sandlot.
That's a good one.
Oh man, one of my favorites.
And like, I do find this to be like a really good sports movie.
Yes,
but it's not the best. But The Sandlot is one of the best ones.
Definitely, I would say that I would agree 100%. Sandlot is more. It's something you would look back and brings you. This was a nice feel good movie, kids movie, great,
funny,
you know,
great acting, pretty good acting.
Yeah.
The kids were pretty good actors.
Yeah,
they weren't as good from the kids in The Sandlot were.
Oh man, you feel like you were immersed into the whole storyline.
Benny the Jet Rodriguez,
and it was more. I think the storyline with the Sandlot, was more with James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones, R.I.P.
That was a classic. I would love to watch it again.
Did you ever have another kids sports movie? Was The Little Giants? I mean, not The Little Giants. We were talking about that one. The Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, classic.
Yes.
I did see that. I actually saw that older too.
Okay.
I was in my mid-20s.
You know what's really interesting? That there's a market now for jerseys of like that were from players from movies. So like now they're like $150 if you buy a Ducks jersey that has a name like Bombay on it, or like
that's
Smash
cool.
Brothers or Banks and stuff.
Yeah.
A Benny the Jet Rodriguez Dodger jersey, you know how like you can go to MLB Shop or any of the sports leagues and make your own jersey. You cannot make a Rodriguez jersey with the number 3 on it.
No kidding.
You can't do it because I think like
copyrights.
I think so, yeah.
And they don't. Wow.
There's a way to get around it.
Yeah.
You would have to put a space like in the letter, like in one letter, or put like I tried it.
That's interesting.
Put a period on like
one of the letters.
One of the letters or something. And now that my parents are moving to North Carolina, they have a basement, and my dad and me were going to turn that into a man cave.
Nice.
And he's like, I want to hang up Dodgers jerseys. And I was like, okay, I know it's your house, but The only jersey I'm gonna let you hang up there is
Fernando Venezuela.
one Fernando Valenzuela or Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
That's it. Yes.
If you put and maybe Otani, but no Betts, no Koufax, no whoever.
Kirk Gibson.
No, none of the OG. No, those are the
Hershiser.
No, or Kershaw, Chokester. You heard me, Dad. Chokester.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoy this movie, and I'm glad you liked it, buddy.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, and I recommend it. Any early teenage, should watch it.
Yeah,
it's a feel good movie, and there's some good lessons to be learned.
Yeah,
you know, it might trigger a nice memory when you get older.
Yeah, you'll learn about strong female leads.
Yes, giving everybody a fair chance.
Give everybody a fair chance,
and not going after the favors all the time. Just the teams that are always winning. Jumping on the bandwagon, I call them.
Well, I mean, I say that as a Yankee fan, as a Spurs fan, and a Cowboy fan.
I'll give you Spurs because you were in Texas around that time.
So the other team that I like, if I was to choose a hockey team, would be the Ducks.
Okay.
The Anaheim Ducks. And someone was like, why are you a Yankees fan? And I was like, oh, because the first MLB, the World Series I saw, was the Yankees versus the Braves.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, okay. And then they were like, oh, why? Yeah, why are you a Ducks fan? I was like, oh, because of the Mighty Ducks. And
the movie.
Like, so you just basically like what you see, and I was like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's why you never hear people from California, Texas, Florida, any of these big states, New York, say, well, I kind of like the Indians and I like the Brewers. I'm like, they've never won. And if you do, I mean, there's got to be some type of connection to the city. That's what impresses me. I'm like, you know what?
I do know somebody like that. We actually, his name was Brian. We worked together when I worked first for the first airline job I had. He's from California, born and raised, Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Really?
And he's like, why? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like,
I met
terrible.
Two guys from California. They're from a small town outside of, I don't know, Fowl or somewhere out there.
Podunk nowhere.
Yeah, and the brothers, they were into the Knicks. I was like, you lived in New York? No. And I was like, Knicks are not a winning team. We only won. We came close in 94 when this movie came out. But that's it. There was nothing.
Did they though? Oh, did they go to Game 7?
They played it. Yeah, they lost in the finals with
to the Knicks.
The Knicks lost to the Rockets, the Houston Rockets,
and then they lost to the Spurs.
And the Spurs. Oof.
Was the Rockets and Knicks? I think that was the one that was going on at the same time as
that O.J. Simpson.
The O.J. Simpson, right? Was it Game 7?
Game 7.
What really? Or was it? I mean, was it Game 7 or no? They went to Game 7.
Yes,
right?
It went, and they lost. They were supposed to win that series.
Key, man, you can't stop the dream.
Just thinking about John Starks missing all those shots. Had he made at least 3 or 4 of those shots?
The man dunked on Jordan, for crying out loud. Something that nobody could do, and he
and he choked.
All right.
Anyways, but memory lane, sports. That's the thing.
This turned out to be more of a sports discussion than a movie discussion. Yeah, I don't care.
It's fun.
And hopefully, when we go to New York in a couple of weeks and everything's okay with your pops, at least one of the New York teams can be there.
Yeah, hopefully the Mets. It would be nice. It'd be nice to have
Subway Series.
A nice Subway Series. Good for the city.
You know what's gonna end up being? It's gonna be like the Guardians and the Dodgers.
Oh, that would crush me.
The Dodgers would just crush them.
It was. I hate those Super Bowls or those World Series where it's just sweet.
The Panthers and what was the one that? Oh, the Broncos and the Seahawks.
40 points, 30 points.
All right, so we're gonna have to do this again, Louis. And
it was fun. It was fun.
Maybe I'll choose another sports movie.
Sports or or even when the Ferris Bueller.
We could show that to somebody.
It's one of those movies that changes your thinking. Yeah, helps you. Or at least you look back and say, "Huh."
Bueller, which by the way, he destroyed the Mets today.
That Bueller, that's the one we started talking about.
No, Walker Bueller. Bueller.
Ooh, he had that nice pitch, man. Ooh. But anyways, that was we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hey man, it was awesome. Glad I had a chance to do this. We've been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah. We were trying to do it for a while. You're a busy man. We're busy
No,
people.
yeah, we got time. I like to kick back and just reminisce. Oh, that's right.
You still have to take me
Oh
home.
my God, Uber.
All right, guys.
All right, guys,
Thank you,
have
bro.
a good one. Thanks for listening, people. Nah, they were.
I'm gonna record with my phone just as a backup because the thing turned
Yeah.
off. But
But yeah, the Giants Super Bowls were 87 against the
yeah,
Broncos.
oh well, okay.
And then 91 against the Bills.
The Bills, and then the Bills lost 4 straight.
Oh my goodness, that was
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
oh, that was horrible. I'm glad. See, I'm a New York fan, but
Yeah,
up in the city, so Giants was across the street.
Yeah.
Stadium was
and for me, my sports teams are based, the Cowboys. But I do have my baseball team. My favorite baseball team is the Yankees.
oh,
Another rival of yours, and
yes, I'm a Met fan and the Queens kid. So that's personal. When Queens and Yankees get together, both the Mets and Yankees. But yeah, that was my childhood. Also, basketball is the winningest Knicks. We've never won a championship as long as I've been a fan. And I was
they've won 2 before
before in the 70s. Yeah,
with Phil
70s.
Jackson, I think, and Willis Reed, and
Yeah,
all those guys.
That's right. That's right. The number.
What about hockey? Was that your?
No, I mean the Rangers were a great team, but I can't say I was a big hockey fan. No.
The only, I mean, I would say I was not a hockey fan, but I did like the Mighty Ducks only because of the movie.
Yeah. No.
And I guess that would be my team still if I had to choose one. And they won one in like the
Right.
their entire franchise.
My dad's a big hockey fan, and so is my sister. But I never really keep up with it. I'd like to see this, the playoffs, but it wasn't.
Have you ever been to a Preds game?
Yes, we did. It
Pretty
was
fun.
fun. It was fun. I like it. I just wish I was more into it, like soccer. It's
Soccer's
tough.
so hard.
It's hard. You get it.
It's only the international club.
And when you're a child and you're young and
Yeah.
you're involved in it, it becomes different because everybody says baseball is boring. But for me, I could sit all 9 innings through.
I could sit if I watch it in the in person. Playoffs, maybe. But the regular season, in the middle of June, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
They play 180 something games.
Okay, so we don't have a baseball
We don't
team
know.
in
Not sure.
Tennessee.
So the Braves would be the closest one.
So I would have to travel to Atlanta, and I threw it out on Tuesday to my wife. Let's go Wednesday tomorrow.
Really gonna play.
They were playing against the Braves, but
The Braves are gonna.
he's the Braves. The Mets.
The Mets. Okay.
So I was like, I usually try to make it a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
game, but she shut that down. She's like, nah, you're crazy.
Does she even like baseball? Does Sarah like baseball?
Yeah, she'll sit in it, but she's not a big.
I mean, she's
more
from the
about
Central.
football.
Central Valley, so whoever beat her team, if any, the Giants.
Yeah, she'd
The
be more
Dodgers?
San Francisco Giants.
Okay.
But she's more of a football fan, sure.
Alrighty, so let me introduce this movie. We talked about it, and you said you haven't seen it yet, but this is a kids movie basically. So it's from 1994, and it stars Rick Moranis. Don't know if you know that name. He's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Of course, yeah. I seen
My
that
Blue
movie.
Heaven.
Oh yeah,
A lot of the Little Shop of Horrors.
of course.
He plays Danny O'Shea. Yeah.
Feed me.
Is that the one where he says I'm the gatekeeper? Oh no, I think that's Ghostbusters.
That's-
The other one. But
That's
he
a
plays
fantastic-
Danny O'Shea, the lovable underdog who coaches these misfits, basically a motley crew of misfits that form their own team after they didn't make the cut for the elite Cowboys team. And the other team is coached by his brother, Kevin O'Shea, played by Ed O'Neill
Oh,
from
interesting.
Family. What was it? Married with Children and Modern Family.
Yes, Al Bundy.
Al Bundy, yeah. And so he's like a local football legend in this movie. Like
Okay.
he was
They're brothers.
in the movie.
Okay.
In the movie. Yeah, which is you'll see it and you're like, they're completely different. But I think they do that on purpose to show like one's just an average guy and the other one's like
This legend.
this legend football star, Heisman Trophy winner. Which is interesting because he actually did play football. I think he was
he's
in
a good athlete. But
I think he
Ed O'Neill.
he played in the NFL. I think he might have been like on the practice squad or something like that. But when you see him like in this movie, you're like, oh, that's That's a football coach. That looks like every football coach, like,
Does he do that?
and he has the short shorts, like under his waist. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of literally chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this movie because for me, it's one of my favorite movies as
And
a
I've
kid.
never seen it.
Yeah, well, like they came out in '94. So how old would you have been in '94? Like in your teens?
Yeah, I was more. Yeah, I was just graduating high school.
Mhm.
To 17, 18, 17.
Okay, yeah. So
So it was kind of like
a little bit before, after your time.
yeah, it was kind of like I saw it like a kids movie, but now now more into that stuff. Like then it was more too old for that.
So this movie is about sibling rivalries. So I know the answer to this, but are you competitive?
Yeah,
Some would say yes.
some would say yes.
And I know you said, I know for a fact that you have 6 siblings, or altogether 6 of you guys.
Yeah, winning isn't everything.
It's the only thing when you have that many.
Things around.
Were you very competitive with yours as a kid, or even today as adults?
Yeah, with my brothers, I had 2 brothers. I had a younger one, an older brother. Then I also had a younger sister and an older sister.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we were very close knit family. We all grew up in Cleveland, being had much, but
Always fighting.
it was a
You told me a couple of stories of like when you guys would get together to play sports. Like
oh yeah,
it would be like pretty hectic, pretty crazy.
crazy fun. And it was always people laughing at us. People just man, you guys think you're way too serious.
See, that's kind of like a stark difference because I'm not competitive. Like I'm the type of person they're like, all right, the score is 7 to. I'm like, I don't care. Like let's just play. Like let's just keep doing
They
it.
get paid for this.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. And I get too intense, and I'm like, I don't. And also too, which is funny because my dad's somewhat competitive. My sister, I found out that she's competitive. Yeah, but the thing was that she's 4 years older than me, and she's a girl, so it's like we really didn't like play sports together. Like.
Well, my sister, she's 2 years younger than me, and taught her how to shoot, basketball. Showed her how to shoot a bat, how to throw a ball. Those be like, you throw like a guy, you throw like a girl. And she was very athletic. She was a good runner. She was these girls. Yeah, she was tough. She was a tough little girl.
I mean, she grew up with a bunch of
boy, 3 boys.
in New York. In the city, you gotta be tough.
Definitely. And then she was a nice cute girl. In the city where it was just like
Bunch of guys, bunch of prowlers.
ghetto. You rock.
And so sports was a big thing in your family.
Yeah, definitely.
Just growing up, and do you have any
Yeah.
experiences like going to the ball game when you were a kid or anything like that?
No, I didn't get to go to games until I was, about
Your
teenage.
teens?
Yeah, my it's fun because when you're a kid growing up in the city and you guys we didn't have much.
Yeah.
Financially, we weren't
Mhm.
we weren't comfortable, but we did. We managed.
I mean, your mom trying to pay for 6 people to go to a
Jeez, poor lady. So we grew up with the milk crate. You ever seen those movies where they put it up on the
I've seen it in
tree?
Goodfellas. Like all those mob
That's
movies.
pretty much a lot of that stuff. I don't laugh at it because I was like, I thought it was normal. I thought everyone did like that. So, stick ball. We grab
Legit stick ball.
literally stick ball.
That's
I remember
really
the
something
kids-
I've only ever seen in the movie.
I grew up with his name was Andre Armand,
Okay.
Julian, Gary, all these neighborhood kids. Afro-American kids that were athletics, tough kids, And these were good kids I wouldn't be surprised if they made it
To the leagues.
to the leagues, And we just, anytime we try to go play on asphalt, like
Okay.
clean asphalt. There was a street down, because we grew up in a busy street, but there was a street where it was only within walking distance, the next
on.
block over,
Mhm.
where it wasn't as busy, but we'd put our little chalk grates on the street.
Okay.
And it was nice clean asphalt. And it was long. And there was no cars parked there because it was like garages.
Okay.
And
It was like no sidewalk.
it
or like
was
a,
no
like,
sidewalk,
curb
nothing.
around
Just
the curb.
and we were able to, but cars would fly down sometimes. So we dodging cars,
Car.
yelling, running. But we made it happen. It was usually about 5-4-5 on 5. We had 2 outfielders,
Mhm.
a pitcher, and a catcher.
So your own sandlot, so to speak.
Yeah. That's what pretty much. We didn't have a field. We never
So
played
it
on a
was like
field.
gravel lot or something like
Asphalt,
that.
yeah.
Asphalt lot.
And we had fun. We had fun like that 3-4 years. My little brother was maybe 8-9 years old.
Okay.
I was about 14. My other brother was about 17, 18. But we get together and we had all the neighborhood kids. It's about a good 10 of us.
And we were talking about this earlier, but what are your favorite sports movies? Since we're gonna watch football movies,
Sportsman, man, I love Remember the Titans.
that's such a great one.
Man, classic. Field of Dreams.
Okay.
Oof, that's a good one. And of course, Natural. It was a baseball movie.
Yeah, I've seen Field of Dreams. I've never seen The Natural.
Natural, man. The way they filmed it with him. There's one scene where he hits the ball so hard, he hits one of the lights
Okay,
in the field.
that's Robert Redford.
Robert Redford, yeah, young Robert Redford back. And it was good. I love that movie. That was one of the movies that inspired me to play baseball.
Really?
The Natural, and then another good one was what's that? Major Leagues.
Major League.
That was more of a funny movie.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
What was his name? Wild Thing?
Wild Thing.
That's his nickname.
That's a classic fun movie.
I don't think I've seen that completely. I've seen bits and parts of it.
Oh, man.
I would say for me, my favorite sports movies are Remember the Titans,
Of course. Yeah.
The
Full
Sandlot,
of good movies.
The Sandlot.
Yes.
But you know what's funny about The Sandlot? They only ever play like one legit game in that movie
Yeah.
against like the big. You know, we were talking about. I don't know if you heard the other one that we had to do with Jose. That movie's so entertaining because the actual plot of the movie doesn't start until like the last third of it,
Yeah.
where they try to get the baseball back, and they really don't have like them showing like them actually playing like actual games except for one, and it's just like kind of a montage when they play against like the actual like baseball
Yeah,
team.
it wasn't really about that. It was more, these
These
kids.
kids, yeah.
Great memories. Yeah, that's pretty much
And then being from LA, like that's a big thing. Like Betty the Jet Rodriguez, and, like,
Of
that's
course.
like other than I would say Fernando Valenzuela, that's like LA's biggest like their
Yeah.
favorite baseball player, and he's like fictional.
yeah.
So yeah, The Sandlot, Remember the Titans, any given Sunday.
Rudy, yeah. And
My brother-in-law loves reading. I can't stand that movie.
you didn't like it?
No.
The little underdog.
What's the other one that everybody really likes, and I found it to be kind of weird? Oh, Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Which is funny because they're supposed to be the underdogs in that movie, right?
Yeah, and they were great team.
But the thing is, I found it kind of funny. It's like not to get serious. Like I said, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
But that they're playing against a all-black team, right?
Uh-huh.
And like these kids probably couldn't even like dress in the same locker rooms or drink from the same fountain as them. But the other team was considered the underdogs. It's like, come on, guys! Like, really?
Now
They made them look like like villains, like and I'm like,
yeah.
um,
That was a classic.
any given Sunday,
Mhm.
Friday Night Lights. That's a big one for Texans. It's being from Texas, not the show, but the movie.
And I never got to watch that one. I gotta watch
It is.
That's a classic.
It's more of like that one is not really about the football. It's more about the drama, And I think it was Jose. He said he was looking up like some of the football stadiums in Texas, and they're like some of them fit like 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 people. Like football Friday night is it's a religion in Texas.
I believe it. Yeah.
And some of these coaches, some of these football coaches get paid. I wouldn't be surprised if they get paid millions. I would not be surprised. And then you have like these. I would say like it's mostly in like the outskirts of the city, but you have like these teenagers that are 16 to 18, just brisket fed,
Oh yeah, grooms. for that.
groomed, like they work on farms. They're like throwing bales of hay and they're just jacked.
Oh,
And I was like thinking about playing football, and then I'm like, I see those guys, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to get CTE at like 15 years old.
and these are jacked kids. Like,
And most
just
of them make it into college and not the NFL.
be bred for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
New York is more like what for sport basketball.
Basketball is a big deal in New York. There's a lot of basketball. You know, we got baseball. We got two baseball teams in New York. We got two basketball teams. Where
Like as far as like the kids playing, it would be basketball because it's the easiest to play, right?
Yeah,
Baseball.
yeah. You would have football is popular. Football is popular in New York. It was just
Kind of hard to play.
hard to play with fields and stuff. I mean, we do the same thing, but you need longer fields. It's hard.
Where
to
would
find-
if they had like the high school teams? Where would they play?
they have some of them. They have fields. They have regular
Uh-huh.
fields. These schools do have like property where they
They
do have it, but it's not like Texas where you guys have stadiums.
probably like 1,000 people,
High
even
school.
if that.
No.
Not even that.
I mean,
Like 500 people.
well, yeah, there's some areas.
It's like they can't. It's just a real estate problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the city, the real estate, the property is so much more expensive.
You can hold a mic if you want. You can take it off everything. Hold it, so it's easy for you.
In case I want to drop it. So.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. So it's not like we didn't have the luxury in Texas.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of land.
Well, the thing in Texas too, a lot of that money
$10
comes from
for-
boosters, comes from donations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just
that's that's. But yeah, we don't have that. I didn't really see. Like I see nice football fields,
Yeah.
but I didn't see like
People playing
30,000, 50,000 seats for high school.
I think in some of them they sell alcohol. I think so. I actually wanted to go to one because I haven't been to one in a while to go see the high school I went to was fairly new and they're not that good.
Yeah.
But my brother-in-law at some point his high school was the one that was really good, was Judson.
Okay.
My sister didn't go to this particular high school, but the school that she was assigned to, they were also really good. And I don't know if they still do that or if they changed it, but they used to have something called the Gucci Bowl. And it was basically this school, Clark, and then the other school, Churchill. But at the time, they called it the Gucci Bowl because it was like the more wealthy,
Oh, but it's
the uppity schools. But now they're not anymore. There's other schools that have like more.
it's more of a Fuji now.
Yeah, it's a Fuji Bowl. Actually, my cousin went to Churchill, and that's a thing that I don't know if they do that in New York, but in Texas, it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, what high school did you go to?
No,
That's the first thing they ask you. Like,
that's funny.
yeah, it's really weird.
New York is what
What borough or what
what's-
like neighborhood?
What neighborhood in Queens? Because
Oh, okay.
it's so big, you get 2 million people
Yeah.
in a borough. And
Other than Jamaica, what is there?
No, there's a lot. There's you got North Queens, which is Astoria, LaGuardia. Those are nice. Those are nice.
Oh, LaGuardia's looking
schools.
nice.
Yeah, that's a nice, nice civil area. And then you go further south to make it clean to the south. It starts getting a little more.
Is that where you took those sisters that said they wanted to see the real New York?
Yeah, and they were a little traumatized. These drug dealers everywhere.
Hey, you wanted the real New York? Here it is.
Here it is, man. You got the street corners, vendors looting. Oh, and it was crazy. People were just, as a kid, you didn't know any better.
They just like
It's
yeah, it's
normal
fun.
life. You just gotta avoid them. Crackheads were always fun. Walking by though.
It's watching them as a sports in itself.
Yeah, you watch them all day.
Do commentary like you're.
Tyrone.
Oh my God, Tyrone.
That's why with a lot of that stuff, people would just like be. I had been watching it on TV. I was like, man,
You're like, what's funny about that? That's just life.
It's literally them scratching themselves.
He's like, he's like, do you want to know what dog food tastes like? Exactly like it smells. Delicious.
That was classic.
All right, little bro. So you ready to watch this movie?
Let's do it, bro.
All right, we'll watch this movie, then we'll come back and hopefully everything all recorded.
Yeah,
I'm sure it did. All right,
Get your back up to it.
I got my backup. Yeah.
Awesome.